Welcome, Kate and Jenny. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. It was a really interesting conversation I had with you a few weeks ago about therapist qualifications. So I know there's a few people on this call, Taffrin, etc., who are looking to recruit big teams and want to know what the regulations are, what they should be looking for, and the sort of impact on business. So I think the best place to start, if it's okay with you, is how did the Academy come about, and what's the ethos that drives your approach to spa therapist training, and what made you decide to take a different path in education?
So my background is beauty and education. Kate's background is business. We've got a large salon together as well as our training academy. But it was Kate seen the frustration in me to start with.
I used to be Jenny's client.
Yeah,
she had her own business at home, so we've known each other a long time.
No.
Yeah, that's how we ended up meeting in the beginning. Yeah, believe it or not. And now, all these years later, it's like we're sisters.
Oh, wow, amazing. So now, and then you built the Academy together, is that correct?
That's correct, yes. So my kind of biggest frustration in the industry was the unregulated training that was going about, people treating training as a business transaction, and just as soon as they've got payment, you're getting a pass regardless if you're safe or competent or not. So our thing was real ethical training, and that's kind of put us in good stead for everything else we've built up over time.
Yeah. So at the time Jenny was doing a course, I went along to be her model, and Jenny had completed her TQFE, so she was heading into education more at that point in time. And again, as Jenny says, very ethical about the type of training she wanted to do. And even the place that she was at doing her training course that day, she was just thinking everything about it just didn't seem right. And she said, I really want to do this, and I really want to do it right. So she said, but I don't want to do it on my own, because I'm trying to keep my own business going, open a new business and employing staff. So my background was business. It was like new business startups, working with companies who wanted to build new businesses. So I had the background into all your company's house and your corporate and your accounts and doing all that side of it. So we decided just to pull the skills together.
So we're yin and yang.
Okay. But you need that sometimes, don't you? Like, I digress. But when you are going into business, not one person can do everything. So you either have to pay for someone to be those specialists, sort of give you that advice, or you collaborate together and create a business where you pull on your two different strengths. But obviously, Kate, you have an interest in beauty. So
I've learned. And we still pull on lots of professional skills. We don't know everything. So when there's something we don't know, we put our hand up and say, let's get someone to help us. Let's, get the experts in and do that as well. So
it's important. But you were talking about ethical training and I guess ethical recruitment as well. So what should spa owners be looking for when they're reviewing candidates? What are those key skills or qualifications that they need to be aware of?
So what we're starting to do is try and our awarding body is CIPTAC. So that's a globally recognised qualification, which is Ofqual-regulated. So anybody who comes for a job, if they're showing you their certificates, because you'll need them for insurance purposes and for HR department, they need to have an Ofqual-regulated stamp on it. And that's their basis foundation qualification. So whether it be massage, facial, etc. If they've just done a day course somewhere, it'll be an accreditation, which is like your ABTs, your Hamilton Frasers, your beauty guilds, etc. These are an introduction to the subject. It's not a qualification. So even if it states that it's level 3 or level 5, level 6, if it doesn't have that stamp of Ofqual regulation, it's not worth the paper it's written on, essentially. As much as they've had the experience of a day course, they don't know all the safe underpinning knowledge to produce a treatment safely.
We'll just keep talking.
1 second, my little friend here. Yes, you may, darling. Sorry, everyone. My son's not well, so he's home from school and he would like a second Kinder egg.
You're like,
I said to Jenny and Kate, I felt the show should go on, so I apologise for that in the middle of the webinar. So when you're talking about Ofqual regulations, the beauty and spa industry use so many different acronyms and qualification types. You mentioned CIPTAC. Does that include things like VTCT, MVQ, and others?
Yeah, CBTAC is an awarding body. The acronym is Confederation of International Beauty Therapy and Cosmetology. VTCT is another awarding body. That's Vocational Training Charity Trust. So these are acronyms for awarding bodies. So awarding bodies need to all sing off the same hymn sheet. They need to abide by the national occupational standards. And that's individuals who are known within the industry to basically create the national occupational standards that everybody else adheres to. And that's where it filters through to the Ofqual-regulated qualifications. So
the national occupational standards have been written for years. You know, they were pulled together by a team of experts,
but they get
we
updated.
all work off them.
Yeah.
And then they update them every year. They go back and look at them again to make them industry proof, if you know what I mean.
So again, it just depends. The beauty industry, unfortunately, it's not as much as every year. It can be up to 5 years before it's updated. However, it's just when a group of experts get together, and then once they make that decision, that's where it filters through for the Ofqual regulation. And then they filter it through to all your awarding bodies. So VTCT, SQA, City and Guilds, they're all UK-based awarding bodies. CBTAC, the one we deliver, that's a global recognised one. Mm-hmm. So anybody who wants to have a qualification that's fit for purpose and they train within the UK, it probably should be a CBTAC one if they're deciding to maybe immigrate later on or do a work offshore somewhere. So it's just about probably educating people more on what that looks like for an Ofqual regulated qualification. On our social media, actually, we did a post fairly recently and we showed a certificate with the stamp of Ofqual on it. Yeah. So you could see what it looks like in comparison to other ones out there.
Oh, so maybe after this, if you could post into the community chat some things that this is what you should be looking for, and then perhaps the lists of those CBTAC, VTCT, BTCT, MVQ.
Yeah.
I'm going to go off slightly. I did present you some questions before, but I'm going to go, what happens? So at the moment, we are all talking about a therapist recruitment, sort of, there's slow in the UK. What about if you want to hire therapists from abroad, recruit from abroad? Obviously, CBTAC is one of them, but is there like a database you could go to and say, right, I'd love to recruit this lady or this man from France, and that you can go and there's like an index in these separate countries that say, yes, that's accredited or not?
Yeah. What you need is a comparability statement, because different countries have different levels on standards. So what we do is we submit it to the comparability statement link, and that will see if it sits at the same level as us. And if it doesn't, then they would have to retrain under the UK regulations to sit at the same level as what we deem as safe and competent for the industry.
We could try and find that as well, couldn't we?
I think we'll put the link
to that up as well, and that might help.
Yeah, if you do, that would be great. Sorry to go off track. I thought we'd focus quite on the UK, but actually we're talking about a recruitment issue in the UK. Yeah. So people will, and this whole, you were saying about immigration going abroad, but actually what about people who want to immigrate in and do roles here? So there is a link, and you can put the accreditation qualification in, and it will give you a yes or a no. And then
sometimes you have to pay depending on how much you're submitting, because you actually have to put like your photographic evidence of the certificates, and then someone's actually going to,
But that's so important, isn't it? You want to make sure, again, when you're saying it's an introduction to massage and you want to just in the UK stop using those because that that's not a full qualification. It's the same for international as well, because I'm going to be honest, I know I have hired and recruited from abroad and I have never checked.
Yeah,
like, I have gone, they've gone to a college.
Not the only person that
I'm going to put my hands up because I haven't got a team now. There's no issue. But sat here, I have just recruited going, okay, they've gone to a college. I've asked the therapist, how long was your course? What did you cover? Can you explain that to me? But I've never actually taken the specific qualification and accreditation and run it through a check. So I think that's really valuable thing for us all in the spa world to have available, is to be able to go, right, okay, I want to start recruiting, star that link on my Google system and then be like, right, here are the accreditations and check it, because it's madness. Now you tell me and I look back and I'm like, oh.
But even when there's the industry is becoming a wee bit more regulated now, which is great. There's a consultation in place just now for like aesthetics and needling and peels and stuff that's going to be in action in Scotland next year, which is a step forward. But even down to stuff like when people are upskilling, just wanting an accreditation for hot stones, etc., if they don't have the correct pre-requirement, which is an Ofqual-regulated massage qualification, it would be level 6 in Scotland, level 3 in England. If they don't have that, the awarding body won't issue the CPD certification because it's not got the correct fundamental qualification prior to that.
Makes sense, which makes total sense, because how can you have got this far and then be given hot stones in particular, something that can burn the skin or not used correctly? You should have all the basics, foundations in place. So talking about things like burning with hot stones and stuff, what are the insurance implications of hiring unqualified therapists? What are the legal responsibilities do spa managers have when employing therapists, and how do proper qualifications protect both the business and the client?
Well, they should. If they have the proper qualifications, then they will be fully insured. It'll be in the T's and C's of your insurance policy and things like that. But unfortunately, a lot of insurance companies still take people. They still insure people. It'll be when it comes to paying out, if something happens, that you'll probably find the spa will have a problem. So insurance companies really don't always check with you. We add employees on here and we email them and we tell them who are what qualifications. The insurance company never asks us them that information. They just ask us for a name or how many therapists we've got or whatever. They're putting that back onto us. So we tell them every year, we tell them what qualifications that they've got so that we know we're covered by giving that to them. But a lot of insurance companies don't ask for that information. So it's really important for the spa managers to maybe check, because if it would only happen if something really bad happens, and there's an accident in the salon, they might come back and say, well, you've actually got someone working there who doesn't have the proper qualifications to do what they're doing every day. So
we actually heard of a spa, I'll never name names, but we heard of a spa that was implicated and someone got burnt off a hot stone. And it turned out that they were only trained via their product house for hot stones training, and they didn't actually hold an official accreditation. So then that implicated the whole insurance procedures as well.
I was about to ask if you literally read my mind. I was about to say, have you heard of any specific instances where this has happened? And that's interesting with the product house training, because, and I'm not coming at this at any angle because I haven't been in the industry for hands-on part of the industry for 4.5 years, but you can get product house qualifications, can't you? But actually what you're saying is that's a protocol qualification.
It's not a qualification. It's that word, qualification.
It's a brand protocol. But I'm just thinking out loud, but you never actually have to go to the product house and say, here are my team, this is my 5 therapists, here is their accredited qualification, and now we'll put you on the protocol training. And I think that perhaps even that is slightly a grey area in total honesty. Now I'm just reflecting on what you're saying. Would I have seen I'm using a brand protocol for hot stones and gone, oh yeah, the hot stones qualified? Actually, I probably have done that. Again, putting my hands up. I'm going to be worst practice spa director.
No, not at all. It's so common. You're not alone.
Common.
It's very, very common. Not at all. That you're not the only one that's doing it. So that's why we're trying to educate.
especially doing a pre-opening when you've got like a team of 20, 30 therapists to recruit, and you're like, right, okay, CV, tick, 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 tick. They've got this, right? Let's get in. Let's have an interview. Let's do the oh my god, my brain's gone. Wait, the massage. Thank you very much. Someone get me a Kinder Egg. They test. And then the last thing you do is say, can I see your certificates? And it becomes a tick box exercise. You just go, yep. You pass it on to a HR team who don't know what they're looking for. Let's be totally honest. And it's not their remit, because as the spa director, manager, owner, you are the person that's saying, let's hire this person. Would I have passed off a brand protocol as a certificate? I probably have.
Yeah.
And actually, if there was an accident, that responsibility lies on me. And, there hasn't been one, but it's putting this all together actually brings it to life as actually how important it is just to even get that baseline right, let alone adding on, hot stones or any of these more advanced treatments as well, especially as we're getting into more aesthetics, medical in the industry. I guess you also need to make sure that those are then accredited and certified too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Everything down to oncology training as well. It's great having the brand's protocols, but the underpinning knowledge and the safety aspect has to come from the original accreditation off of a regulated centre.
Oh. Because it covers so much anatomy and physiology, a lot more detailed than the brand's protocol will. They'll tell you how to do the massage and some things to look out for, but without that, really key knowledge and educational part of it, it's still...
So accreditations, which is your advanced procedures, they're not Ofqual-regulated, but they should be delivered by an Ofqual-regulated centre. So that's when it starts becoming tricky and a bit confusing. If they've got their fundamental qualification, which is their massage, their facial, those should be Ofqual-regulated. That's why your awarding bodies like your VTCT, your CIBTAC, your City and Guild, your SQA, your then accredited bodies will be like BABTAC, professional beauty, stuff like that. You do get like ABT and stuff like that as well. But again, that's going into a wee bit more of a looser area because they're insurance brokers and they're not actually under an educational body. So they tend to not really look at what's going on. Whereas BABTAC, that's a sister company of CIBTAC. So they tick all the boxes and they make sure everything goes unnoticed. And then even as a school, when we are submitting that we want to deliver something, it goes through massive checks before you're even allowed to deliver it.
Wow. I think this could be a bit of an opening up of the industry if we actually went back and had a look at right, teams. What are you? How are you recruiting? And how are you checking these? Just to go on from like some of the other work that you've done a fast track spa therapist traineeship with brands like Trump Turnberry. How do you, in what you're saying, like you've got these accreditations, these sort of specifications you've got to follow to be able to give the qualification. How do you compress that training timeline then?
So if you think of colleges, they deliver a full beauty qualification over 2 to 3 years. The only things we're delivering is the massage qualification and the facial qualification, which are regulated off. So if you think about that condensed in college, it would probably be over the same time frame that it's delivering it. It's just that you're not training in any of the other procedures such as waxing, tinting, nails, etc.
So that's why that course takes 2 to 3 years, because they're covering so much. Students are maybe in college 2.5 days a week.
Right.
Whereas when they're here and they're doing it, it's
a 3-month period.
Period where they've got their theory, they've got their commercial salon time back at spa, and then they've got their time that they spend with us where we cover the theory and the practical and get them salon ready. And then they go back and they have that extra to almost 3 months practicing every day, making sure they're seeing like staff members, family members, that kind of thing. They're not working, they're not allowed to be chargeable and working on the public, but what you're getting them that confidence, getting them to do it regularly, getting them ready for going into spa once their qualification comes through, which is why it's condensed down. So people all think you can't possibly do it in that time, but if you think about everything else that comes with a beauty qualification, and the unit the same, the qualification means the exact same.
We all work from the same national occupational standards, so it's the exact same syllabus that VTCT colleges that are doing like City and Guilds, us that do CIBTAC, we're all working off the same thing. It's just that we deliver it in a different manner.
Got you, because there are some people who don't want to do nails, who don't want to do waxing. That would be me. I trained to do them all, but that wasn't something that was particularly I wanted to specialize in. So I guess you're taking these spa elements and creating a spa specific course, which is what businesses are looking for. I mean, someone was telling me the other day that lots of spas are starting to take manicures and pedicures off their treatment menus altogether.
Which is money.
Yeah, you see, I have the other side of it. I think it brings in you can bring in your regular sort of nail get a guest who might then want to upgrade to a spa day or keep your members happy. So I think there's two sides to it, but it was and that's a different conversation.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I definitely...
It's working. You know, you're saying we did it with Turnberry, we've done it with Crerar. So the people that we're working with are repeating it now.
Yeah.
You know, they're now on to like their third set of students coming through the programme, and they're all still in spa because there's that tie-in. So we bring them through and they kind of enter an agreement, like a contractual agreement as with their employer, who is the spa, and the person who gets put through the training, because the spa pays for it. It's not funded because we don't have an apprenticeship scheme in Scotland, which is why this came about, because there was such a need in the spas, but nothing was coming through from college. It was the full beauty qualification again, and the spas were frustrated. They were waiting 3 years for students to come through and come to them, and then they had all this other stuff. Whereas the one we do, they specialise so much just in massage and facial that when they leave us, they are spa ready quickly. You know, they're just doing that. They're focused. That's what they want to do. That's the elements they want to do. They want to work in spa. So that's why it's come round that way.
And the reason why we chose CIBTAC as our awarding body as well, because it's different to other awarding bodies. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. It's just a preference from us that there's an external examiner from CIBTAC that come in and assess our students. It's not us that pass them. So it keeps us on our toes to deliver high standard of therapists, because other awarding bodies, it's their trainers that pass them.
Yeah, you know, like assessments through their units, they pass them as they go along.
Right.
You know, like schools and colleges where they just each...
It's like formative.
Yeah, formative.
That ties back to that ethical element, doesn't it? Where you're saying that lots of people get 10 students, have to pass those 10 students, get the next 10 students because they're looking at 100% pass rate.
Yeah.
Actually having an external assessor makes that it is an ethical situation because you're not just signing them off at the end.
Yeah. That's the way we wanted to do it,
So that is interesting, because obviously you're using this as a way to help the hotels like Trump, Turnberry and Crerar hotels to recruit, aren't you? Because post-COVID, many spas are struggling with recruitment.
Yeah, definitely.
But how can spa owners balance the urgent need for staff with the importance of proper qualifications? You know, what red flags should they be looking for when reviewing CVs? So obviously they can take people and send, you're up in Scotland, I'm thinking more nationally now. How can people look at a CV and go, right, I need to double check that qualification or check what that person is saying? Are there any sort of specifics people should look for first?
I would always look for their main fundamental qualification, whether that be like an HND, HNC, level 6, level 3, whatever it is. As long as it's Ofqual-regulated, then that's the starting point. References as well, because we're terrible as well until recently for checking on references. You do a trade test, think they're excellent, and then have them in.
You see, they've got their qualification, you see them, you get them in, they do their trade test and they're great. And then maybe after a period of time, you're just a bit like, there's some red flags coming. We've all done it, you know, but checking references is really important as well.
Really important. And then obviously when we were looking at CVs as well, seeing how their longevity in other places as well, whether it's jumping from job to job, or if they've stayed static in one place and maybe just reached their ceiling and just want to move on. Unfortunately, post-COVID, we're in the day and age that therapists basically can call the shots and get what they want, because there's few and far in between at the moment. So we've had a lot of meetings lately with various different spas, and that's the one thing that keeps coming up, that they don't want to upset their therapist because they can't afford for MD to leave at the moment, so their hands are tied, and it's just this vicious circle just now.
It is. I think what you're doing is very different with some of the other hotels in Scotland. Is you're saying, right, well, let's find the right candidate first. By what I'm understanding, find the right candidate. This is the person that is understanding our brand. We can see them coming to work for us. Then invest in them, do the 3 months training, and then hopefully you've got the right person, because you've invested so much in them by this point that even in that pre-interview process, you've kind of got to know them before they go and do the qualification. What has that proven to be a better way round of doing it? Do you think that is successful.
A lot of the candidates have came in-house, haven't they? They've maybe been in food and beverage or housekeeping, and they've known their work ethic prior to bringing them on in spa.
And then the student is so grateful because they didn't think for a minute that they had the option to be a therapist in that spa. You know, they've looked down at spa thinking, oh my goodness, it looks beautiful working down there, and maybe on reception or in the kitchen or whatever, you know, and the companies have then given them that opportunity to become a spa therapist. So they're so grateful. So they have that commitment. So they do stay on board. As again, it's really difficult legally to tie someone into a period of time contractually. However, just by putting it in there into their contracts, we expect you to stay by this for this period of time. If you don't, we can't tie you in to make you stay, but if you leave, you have to pay the cost of your training back, you know, on a sliding scale after a certain period of time. And it just seems to be enough of a deterrent that the students that have been there are all loving their jobs. Thankfully, we're very lucky with the hotels we're working for. It's just working, as I say, they just keep repeating the process now because it's working.
We actually had a wee meeting with one of our previous students last week in Blytheswood Square, and that's part of the Kimpton group, and she was raving about how far she's came along since. So it was lovely to see as well, because that's hard being a year and a half there now. And she was telling us about all her extra training she's had and where she wants to be by next year. And so it's nice to see the progression.
And she physically said, I was working on reception and didn't think it was an option for me to become a therapist. I thought I would always just work in reception. So when the opportunity came up, I couldn't believe it. And she's loving it. She's thriving.
And that's the thing, when I've worked in spa management before, is you do have some incredible spa receptionists, perhaps, who actually want to get into treatments, but there isn't necessarily a program like yours that I've known of. And that as I say, I've been at the industry for a while. It was always the option of, well, let's look at the apprenticeship scheme in the UK. But the issue with the apprenticeship scheme is the way that it's delivered over such a long period of time.
18 months or more.
They are looking to reduce that now. I think they were talking about reducing it to perhaps 8 months. However, we have actually had a lot of interest from England about bringing what we do there. So obviously there's still a need for what we do. Apprenticeship available.
Because there is one there isn't one here. So there's no other option in Scotland. The person would have to go back to college and do their full college course in Scotland, because there isn't an apprenticeship. There isn't anything at all.
But even the apprenticeship scheme in the UK could be much improved if we had a spa therapist apprenticeship. And as you say, took out the beauty elements that they're not necessarily interested in. I mean, there's nothing more painful as a spa manager when you've got someone who doesn't want to do nails. Because let's face it, you either love nails or you don't. I've had people on apprenticeship schemes who just are like, I can't do this. And they're like, and you're like, okay, let's sit down, take a deep breath, steady your hand. Like, no, you still can't do that. Let's just, and that's just natural, isn't it? Not everyone is good at everything. So actually, if there was a spa therapist apprenticeship, I'm thinking about the UK, it makes total sense. Or to do a condensed 3-month course. It's so much more valuable than putting someone through the stress. They don't know what to do. Then they come out at the end and they're like, oh, I managed it.
I'm never doing it again. I'm never doing another nail in my life.
And I think that's why it's just modernising things, isn't it? And that's why we kind of took the plunge, and we're very grateful to CIBTAC because they're a great supportive awarding body that are open to new kind of innovations. So we obviously had to go through this with them and make sure that they were happy with all the protocols that we were going to put in place for this, because it's CIBTAC qualifications, but it's worked well. What, another Kinder Egg?
You okay? Yeah, we're back in a second, darling. I'm going to ask a couple more questions, and then I'm really sorry. I think my
okay.
Listen.
No, I'm so sorry, everyone. I shouldn't have tried this, but I was super keen not to miss the slot. He's okay. I'll be back in a sec. 2 things I just wanted to touch on is, how do spa owners, how do you think the messaging needs to change to explain to spa managers the importance of continuing spa therapist professional development as a retention solution? Because I think the thing that I hear is that therapists do their training, they go into a treatment room and they're saying, I don't like being in a dark room, I don't like X, Y, and Z about the role. How can we, you, me, everyone help spa managers to look at the way that we can then develop those therapists further once they've got these qualifications, to then give them that development opportunity?
offer new treatments as well. I know that's not always
just the answer because they're still in the treatment room, but if they're excited about a new treatment that they can give to their clients, then it tends to kind of take their mind off the fact that they're still doing that type of treatment.
Getting them involved, letting them have an input, because they're going to perform better if they've actually had an input to what they're going to be delivering to their client base as well. Incentives as well, we're big in incentives, so whatever that looks like depending on each person, whether it's a financial reward or it's extra training or
extra time off or whatever it works for that person.
It definitely helps with retention for staff as well. And do you know, a lot of the times we get asked into a spa because there was a manager off on mat leave and they didn't have any cover, so we went in to do like some staff meetings and stuff and find some pain points. And it was generally just they wanted to be heard and they wanted to see that actions were getting taken off of the back of the discussion.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is Cameron.
Hi, Cameron.
Oh, bless, he's all shy.
He's not feeling great. Sorry, I got distracted then. But I do think that like getting the therapist properly qualified and developed will help with retention, especially with things like getting the right incentives and using training as an incentive. Like you're saying, if you're happy and you're doing a great results and you're hitting maybe retail targets, why don't we look at you coming and having a look at new treatments? Let's design some new treatments with that in mind, or look at different retail lines to kind of help you to achieve better retail sales or different things like that.
There's things like, sorry, Jenny, your levels in training as well. So we do the level 2 qualification to get them into facials, but then you've got your level 3, your level 4, which is your microneedling, skin peels. So again, that's giving the spa the option for their regular clients to get that more advanced facial, to spend a bit more. So then obviously you charge more for those type of treatments. So a lot of spas and things just do, spa day packages, but there are a lot of really good therapists out there with a bit extra training who have their regular clients who could then offer, your more advanced facials.
Like your needling packages, hydrofacial packages, or things like that.
Progression as well. I know some people just get labelled as trainers in spa and they've had no experience in being a trainer. It's just because they've been in the industry for a while and they're good at something, so they get the tag of trainer. Whereas we deliver the level 3 award in education, so it's an actual teaching qualification. So you're learning about the intricacies of dealing with people and different learning barriers, etc. So you can understand the team better when you're delivering your training as well, and giving some insight on how to deliver things to create engagement. So these are all things that spa managers perhaps wouldn't even think of, but we've actually done quite a few now. So they're like lead trainers have now went through the award in education qualification.
Well, that would be interesting to share in Spa Well as well. I'd love to know more about that, because I hadn't even thought about the fact that you could qualify your therapist, your training therapist, with something that they can then have as a certification against them to be a trainer.
Yeah, that's another level 3 qualification that they would have on their CV.
Oh wow, I did not know this. I'm learning so much today. and admitting so much today. What's that? Thank you so much for being so accommodating that he's come up today.
Not at all. It's been lovely.
I'm going to hand it over to the floor. We've got a few of the wonderful members here. Would anyone like to ask any questions? I think we've covered an awful lot, and I'm hoping you'll put some of the information you spoke about, like the link and the details of the different bodies, etc. That would be super helpful as a follow-up. But does anyone have any questions before we sort of wrap up, or is there anything, Jenny and Kate, that you'd like to add in?
If we miss any questions, if you put it in the chat, we can always follow up afterwards as well and be descriptive. Or if anybody wants to get in touch personally, then we can share our email addresses and they can pick our brains.
That would be so cool, because I think I've learned a lot. Let's put it that way. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.